I use it, you use it.
Yeah.
It's a way of drawing people up. But 90% of stuff that comes to you through LinkedIn is bullshit. It's time wasters, tire kickers. It's people with no authority or money.
Yeah.
But they just want to pick your brain. And if Brexit, if it ever happens, and the world comes crashing down, the good salespeople will still be out there making money.
Yeah.
The shit ones will be moaning it's Brexit.
So we've got the UK's most hated sales trainer and the UK's #1 demotivational speaker. I think this might be the lowest viewed or listened to podcast of all time.
Oh, without a doubt, you'd have to be an idiot to listen to this.
Yeah, so hopefully there's a few idiots that will tune in.
About 80% of the sales community will.
That's good then. So speaking of small numbers, I can count on one hand the number of good salespeople I've worked with and even fewer who I actually liked. So why are they hated?
Because most salespeople are losers. I don't mean that disrespect. Well, I do mean it disrespectfully. But let's be honest, most people... No one chose sales as a career. They fell into it. This is not what you wanted to do as a kid. You wanted to be an astronaut or a lawyer or a doctor or something productive. And then you needed a job. Who's hiring? Sales. And then you get stuck. And I say most salespeople are stuck in a rut, which is pretty much a coffin with the ends kicked out. You know, their epitaph says died 2005, buried 2045.
Oh, yeah.
You know, So, they're egotistical, they're shallow, they lie, they're deceitful, and they're money-grubbing amateurs.
Yet you are a trainer of these people.
I am,
so why are you hated by these people?
I'm hated because of things like I've just said. I'm quite blunt and I speak the truth. I'm a salesman, so I can say this. I'm attacking myself. I used to be one of those guys. And it wasn't until I realized that sales can actually be professionalized. When something can be professionalized, that's when you know you can find diamonds in amongst the rough. And I'm looking... And I'm honest, 8 out of 10 people will never do what I teach. I'm looking for the 2 that will. And they're in every company.
So that's what I was going to ask. And so who is it that really hates you then? Is it the sales managers, sales trainers, the companies?
Sales managers, because they're normally the chief order taker that's been promoted upwards.
Yeah.
And the chief order taker, instead of making the excuses, now manages the excuses. And they hate it when I point out that selling's got nothing to do with personality. I mean, it's important, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But people don't buy because of your personality. Yeah.
And there's that myth that people buy from people.
Yeah. Well, it's to its extent it's true, but the statement's wrong. They miss out a key word. People like them.
Oh, okay.
And that's the important thing. Considering you only have a personality similar to about 20% of the population, it means 8 out of 10 people don't like you personally. So salespeople have a habit of only remembering the people they sold to, not the people they didn't. And so that's why they always say, well, it's me, they won into me, they bought me. As well, yeah, because you're only talking to people that like you.
Yeah.
The other 80% think you're a dick and they don't buy. That's not a good professional position.
I saw a quote of yours on LinkedIn the other day, which was one of the more challenging things to impart in sales is the fact that most of us aren't that good at it. Now, I understand that because I've worked in sales for so many years, but I can see why some people wouldn't like it for saying stuff like that. But I've also called them glorified order takers.
Yes, they are.
So why are they so shit at sales? If that's their job and they've been in it for 10, 15 years, how come they're still shit at it after all that time?
Because they've been sold a bit of a lie. They've been told that it's a person with a gift of the gab, someone who's a great ability to convince and to persuade, is presentable and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's reinforced by prospects, because prospects always lie to you about the reasons why they bought from you. They never tell you the real reason.
Yeah.
They tell you what you want to hear. Oh, we just loved what you had and we just felt a chemistry. Actually, if you go back and ask your customers, why did you really buy from us?
Yeah.
It'll be something completely that you're unaware of. And this is it. If you don't know why someone's bought from you, you're not really very good at what you do.
Yeah, because you're not won't be able to replicate
Because you
that
don't
process.
understand. You can't replicate it. And I just follow a process. And I do it over and over and over again. In fact, my job is to make salespeople's lives boring. Because they just do the same thing really well. And that's all a good barrister does, or a good surgeon, or a good athlete. It's the same thing over and over again, really, really well. And the better they get at it, the more they earn.
Yeah.
And that's the whole process. It's not about he just has a better personality in the courtroom. That's what makes him a good lawyer. Yeah. No. Or the surgeon, he's got a happy disposition, and that's why he doesn't have patients done. No. He's practiced that cut so many times.
Yeah.
That he knows exactly what he's going to do.
That's what I found really when I used to be a sales manager and then sales director. But I always found that if you just follow this process through, the results speak for themselves. So I don't know why you're trying to find shortcuts to try and navigate some of this stuff. Just do exactly what you're told in the order you're told it to, and you will be successful in 5 out of 10 calls or 3 out of 10 calls, which is more than what you are currently doing.
It's like anything in life. It's painting by numbers.
Yeah.
But most salespeople don't see that, because if they have to admit that they have to follow a process, then they have to acknowledge that it's not about them.
Yeah.
And as soon as it's not about them, their ego gets in the way. And it's no, people buy me. It's my winning personality, you know?
They buy from you when it's doing well, but it's price, data, leads when you don't close the sales.
I mean, if Brexit, if it ever happens, and the world comes crashing down, the good salespeople will still be out there making money.
Yeah.
The shit ones will be moaning it's Brexit.
Well, here you go then. So will the good ones be using social selling, or is that a ready-made excuse for failed salespeople?
Yeah, I knew you were going to go to say. Well, first of all, I hate the phrase. It's social marketing.
Yeah.
It's a medium. You don't call it social selling when you make an advert and put it on TV. It's advertising.
Yeah.
And so I hate the phrase. You're not selling. It's a lie. So it is. I use it. You use it.
Yeah.
It's a way of drawing people up. But 90% of stuff that comes to you through LinkedIn is bullshit. It's time wasters, tire kickers. It's people that with no authority or money.
Yeah.
But they just want to pick your brain. But the number of questions I get, can you just help me with this quick question, they will say. And I say, you know what? What you get on for LinkedIn is free. Everything else you got to pay for.
Yeah.
I never hear from them again.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of people use salespeople for. Is that you just be a sounding board and give me as much free information as possible.
Yeah, biological Google.
And then I'll go and take that and use that when I actually go and speak to a provider that I might purchase from, because now my knowledge has been increased.
Yeah.
That's what I found.
Yeah, it's a horrible term and people hate it, so I'll use it. I call it brain rape.
Yeah.
That's all they do. They get in front of you and they want to steal as much as they can from you. And then while they're doing it, they're telling you how much they like you and how good you are, and they're stroking you to make you feel good. The more you stroke a salesman, the more he'll talk. And then once they're done with you, they say, look, could you document your stupidity for me?
Send a proposal and let me take that to someone else.
Now I've got the one thing I really want, and I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to shop it round, or I'm going to take it to the guy I wanted to work with, but now I can negotiate on price.
Same as sales guy then, and I use the social selling thing, which is something to hide behind. And I can say, I'm researching my prospects. Me personally, I used to do as little research as possible.
Same
Just
here.
give me a name and a number, really.
Exactly.
And I'll call them. But I don't like this whole people-pleasing thing there seems to be a rise of people-pleasing. It's pretend to be friendly, pretend to be nice. I don't really think there's any need in sales to be a people-pleaser.
No, you don't. You don't have to be liked to sell. It's a fundamental flaw. Most salespeople think the word you hear all the time is you've got to build relationships. No, you build relationships once they're paying you.
Yeah.
You have a customer and they have a customer journey and relationship. Up to the point they're not giving me any money, they're a prospect. And my job isn't for them to like me, it's for them to trust me.
Yeah.
And you don't have to trust you don't have to like your lawyer to trust they'll do a good job. You don't have to like your accountant, you don't have to like your surgeon. Salespeople are the same. You don't have to like me to believe I can help you.
Yeah.
In fact, if I'm trying to get you to like me, I'm not going to ask the questions I should be asking, because my biggest fear is upsetting you or you saying no. I don't care if you say no.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that. So I actually found that saying no to prospects, I made more sales. And this is the real story then. So in 2016, in my own business, I stopped going to face-to-face meetings. And I used to just say, no, I'm not going to turn up there, because all that happened is I turn up, I'll explain to you something that we've already been through before, and then you'll ask me to explain it to somebody else and somebody else, or you'll ask me to set up a trial for somebody else. So I would say no to face-to-face meetings, I'd say no to discounts, and I'd also say no to working with specific companies. Yeah. And what the results there were, I doubled my actual physical number of sales and increased my average order value. So I made almost triple the amount of money by actually saying no and stop people pleasing.
Yeah. Well, because at the end of the day, all a prospect has is money. Yeah. And money only has value if somebody's willing to give you something in exchange for it. Yeah. So as soon as someone with the solution says, no, I don't want to come and talk to you, all of a sudden their power's gone.
Yeah.
So salespeople give power to the money. So I don't care about money. I like it like anyone else, but it's not the end goal of any sales interest isn't to get their money. And that's why most salespeople fail. They're emotionally attached to the outcome. Got to get a sale, got to get a meeting, got to get a deal. And so you're not focused on the process on how you get there.
Yeah.
So imagine a surgeon saying, I hope they don't die, I hope they don't die. And that's all they're focused on. Or the lawyer, I hope they don't get convicted, I hope they don't get... They're not focused on what they're meant to do to get there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the outcome. Yeah, so you're right. The more you say no, the more people push back. I mean, I use if someone hasn't got back to me and they've agreed to, it's funny because it makes no sense. I send a close the file email.
Yeah.
Haven't heard from you. It's quite obvious. Life has taken over. This is not a problem. I'm going to close the file. The number of people that go, no, don't. I want to talk to you. Yeah. And then I laugh. I think, what the hell's this file? There's no such thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they just see the word no, close, it's over, and they come back. And they're people that will probably buy.
I've seen you do a post recently of refusing to work with someone. And you actually said, and someone criticised you saying, I think you're out of order for refusing to work with someone. And you actually said, well, I'm actually it'd be worse
I
or
was
wrong.
for not taking the
It'd be
money.
wrong to go into this company
Yeah.
when they're not ready to work with someone like me. And I thought that was quite a good thing about being authentic.
It was. So
on
I was
LinkedIn.
approached by a company. They'd seen my cold call video, showed it to their team. They all loved it. They said, "How much to get you in for a day?" I said, "It's going to cost you a lot of money." And they said, "No, well, how much?" So I gave them the price, and I said, "Look, but before you do this, I want you to go back to your team, and I want you to say to them, hey, look, we've spoken with Benjamin. We're going to get him in, but it's going to cost us a lot of money. Are you in it?" And I said, they're all probably going to say, yeah. And go, "So if we get him in, will you be willing and committed to do what he teach?" And they go, yeah. I go, okay. Once they've all bought in, I then go, "I want you to say, okay, but we'll do it on one condition. You pay towards it. Not pay for all of it, you pay towards it." And they said at that moment, I think they had 12 or 15 people, 11 of them said no, they wouldn't pay. And I said, so you separate desire. Everyone in sales desires to make more money.
Yeah.
Very few are committed to doing what's required. And I said, if you don't get 100% yes, don't invite me in.
Yeah.
I said, because you're just pissing money up against the wall. I said, ironically, you've now got a recruitment problem, don't you? Not a sales problem.
Yeah.
Because you can't. How can you work with a team like that?
That don't invest
That
in
don't
themselves.
want to invest in themselves.
But ironically, they would make more money with that investment. They would make more money through commissions. And
I blame socialists. It's always socialists who say that an employer should pay for your training. I mean, it's the most anti-capitalist statement there is. You invest in yourself to make money. That's how it works.
but even that would work outside of the company. You could then go and get a higher paid job because you've got the skills to go and
You
achieve
should
that thing.
invest in yourself. It's
Yeah, of
no
course.
one's responsibility, other than up until the age of 16, and then it's mandated by the government. After that, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So, don't rely on the state system to be able to feed you for life.
Going back to the befriending thing and people pleasing, one of the things that annoys me so much, and I see it really promoted, is befriending the gatekeeper and this whole, befriend the gatekeeper.
Relationships.
I will actually say this. Fuck befriending the gatekeeper. There's absolutely no point. I don't want to be your friend. I want your decision maker's money. That is the only reason I'm calling you. Give me your cash.
Yeah.
I don't care where you've gone on holiday or your daughter's name.
I'm the same.
But why do some sales trainers promote that nonsense?
Because they don't know how to get past them.
Right.
And the easiest way to say that is just build a relationship. But the easiest way to get past a gatekeeper is sound like the person you're trying to get a hold of. Now, I only phone at director level, and I know what they sound like. Yeah. I'm not a high D personality, so I have to pretend for 5 seconds at a time that I'm a ball-breaking CEO. I'm not. I'm very laid back. But I can sound and act like one when I have to.
Yeah.
And so for me to get past, as soon as a gatekeeper answers, there's no hi, there's no hello, there's none of this, there's no introduction. It's literally, Mike's not in, is he?
Yeah.
And then she has to answer because it's a question. She'll say yes or no. If she says yes, I say, fine, tell him it's Benjamin, thanks. Well, you know what it's about? He better.
Yeah.
And then I create enough confusion for them to think, is this a person I should stop or not?
Yeah.
And as soon as they make the decision, I'm going to let my boss deal with this, done. Doesn't mean the boss will take the call.
Yeah.
People confuse it. Getting past the gatekeeper is just not letting them make the decision not to put it through. It can go through and the guy will say, I don't know anyone called Benjamin.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back and say he won't take it. Fine. I've not a problem with that. But most of the time they take it and they say, hello, Benjamin. Okay, you're going to hate me. This is actually a sales call. Do you want to hang out?
It's Mike. I'm calling from this company. Is John Smith in, please? It's like the weakest. It's the weakest thing, in my personal opinion, you can say to a gatekeeper, because straight away you've given them all the power. You've told them who you are, where you're calling from, and now their job is to stop putting dickheads like you through. I think.
A gatekeeper has two functions. Never put through the wrong call, always put through the right call.
Yeah.
You've got to sound like the right call.
Yeah.
I mean, I've sometimes when I'm trying to get real hard people, sometimes I'll fake that I'm at an airport or as soon as I hear the receptionist answer, I'll yell out something. I tell the fucking Laura I ain't paying. Richard, how are you?
Yeah.
Well, put me, what number am I now? No, you just got to confuse them so that they just want to get rid of you.
So then once you get past the gatekeeper, then what do you find is the best kind of opening line or the best thing to say to a decision maker?
The number one thing all salespeople need to do is create trust. The easiest way to create trust is disarming honesty. Okay. The first thing I say is, I'll be upfront, Mike, this is a cold call. Do you want to hang up or can I have 30 seconds? 99% of directors that I talk to laugh at that point. And they say, I like that. That's very honest.
Yeah.
As soon as you get them laughing or saying that's very honest, I've got them.
Yeah.
Let me have 30 seconds. By the end of those 30 seconds, we can either keep speaking or we can hang up. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
That's a little mini contract. The brain loves mini contracts. And I've allotted time. You see, the problem with most sales calls is you don't know how long they're going to go on for.
Yeah.
And so people ask, can I have a couple of minutes? No, you can't have a couple of minutes. I'm a busy guy.
Oh, it's just a quick one.
30 seconds, I'll give it.
Yeah.
I'll give you 30 seconds. Impress me. And This is honest. I work with a lot of MDs, and MDs, for all of those who have to make prospecting calls, I'm looking directly at you, they don't hate sales calls. What they hate is shitty salespeople. There is a big difference. If you can fix a problem on the mind of an MD, he's going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah? So don't be that loser. Be the one that knows what you fix. He'll talk to you. Or she'll talk to you.
One of the easiest ways to get past the gatekeeper in my old business that we did was we used to dress up as a superhero at the exhibition shows.
Yeah.
And then when I do the follow-up calls, I used to just say it's Superman, she knows what it's about.
Yeah.
And often they'd just say, oh, well, I'm not going to stop a call from Superman. I'll put you straight through.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was one of the
like that.
easiest ways to stand out. Even at the award shows, people would say, why are you dressed like that? Are you going to convince me to speak to you? And I used to say, no, like, I don't have to. There's loads of people that want to talk to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I found, the same concept.
Yeah.
You've said no to them, and then what would they do? They'd just hang on the shoulder of someone else you were pitching to. I'd tell them, like, fuck off, I don't want to speak to you. I've got plenty of people to talk to. I'm not going to waste a pitch on you.
Yeah.
And then because you've took something away from them, that power away from them, then they wanted to listen to everything you said.
Once a prospect realizes their money has no power, they realize they're quite useless.
I got through to one, and a decision maker said, are you that dickhead that was dressed as Superman at the last show? And I said, yeah. And then he said, oh, well, it's not for us. Then I spoke to her boss, and 2 weeks later, they signed up a 30 grand deal. But she was there trying to make the decision for her boss. But when I spoke to him, it's
that's it. Yeah, always go to the top. That's the number one rule with prospecting too. Most salespeople have very poor self concepts, so they phone at a level they're comfortable at. So they will phone at manager or janitorial level only. Because they see the letters MD or CEO, and their mum whispers in their ear very softly, what are you going to say to him when you get through? You're just an account executive. So they freak out, and they end up talking to managers, and there's a clue in the job title. Manager. They don't make decisions. Don't talk to non-decision makers. You'll never get shunted up. You'll always get shunted down. There's nothing better than getting through an MD, and he says, whoa, Benjamin, I don't buy... training or anything like that. You need to talk to my business development director. I say, fine, can you put me through? He has to take the call. Yeah. So go to the top. That's my one top tip for anyone in telephone prospecting.
In a similar vein, we used to, we'd set up a trial for someone there, but what we would actually do is then go and find who was senior to that role, but would also be part of that decision-making process, and also set them up at a trial at the same time. But we'd speak to them to say, Carol's told us that you're going to be reviewing this for the next couple of weeks. And just by that, instead of one person making a sort of rogue decision like a lone wolf in a company, it then became a company decision. So it was a lot easier to sell by setting up multiple people. But it's the same premise, really. Go as high as you can up with that product. You've
got to go as high as you can. It's ultimately, at the end of the day, the person at the top cares the most. And they also, I ask everyone, who has the power of veto? Because you get a lot of people say the MD won't be involved in this decision. It's been devolved to me. One question, could they veto this? Well, yes. Then they need to be involved.
Well, they do make the decision.
Then that's it. They have to be involved. And I won't meet a company unless the MD is going to be there. They're just not going to do it. What's the point? I know no one's going to buy my stuff unless the MD has bought in. So I'm not going to meet lower people. And if the MD can't be bothered to meet me, that tells me two things. Either he's not thinking about this or he doesn't care. So why would I go spend any time?
If you do that, you are then being one of them salespeople. I think it's a weak thing salespeople do. Meetings for meeting's sake.
Oh, yeah. They're professional visitors.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly
that. Yeah. They love meeting people because the only reason they're in sales is to be told how good they are. And they get the strokes. And it's funny. I was training a company yesterday, and you could see them. They realize. I said, you can tell when a salesman's had a shitty meeting because they come back and say, "Oh, it was good. Yeah, they really liked us. I asked all the right questions. They're definitely very keen. So what are you going to do now? Well, I'm going to spend the next 3 hours working for free on a proposal, but they promised to get back."
Yeah,
it's like,
that was a shit meeting.
That's a shit meeting.
Yeah,
that's a terrible meeting. Yeah, it's like, and you can ask 6 questions. Just 6 simple questions, and most of them don't have the answer. And if any salesman, or person, I should say, because we don't want the feminist brigade on me. So if any salesperson should start a sentence after they've been asked a question with "I think," it means they don't have a bloody clue. Of
course.
And so what were you doing for the last hour? What's their budget? I think it's around. How are they going to make the decision? I think. What were you doing?
Yeah. I find a lot of these people that will sit their meetings, especially the initial ones, they just don't want to be doing the job they're paid for 30 minutes of the day, and they're just excited that they get to sit in the meeting room and look important to other people in the business.
They talk to corpses if they could.
Yeah, of course. Anything but the real job.
Anything. No. They're not there to sell. They're there to be liked.
I wanted to talk about a sort of entitlement to income and the true cost of a salesperson, because when I was a sales manager,
Yeah.
It was one of the things that used to piss me off so much. It was how these young salesmen, they'd watched The Wolf of Wall Street on DVD a couple of times and they thought they were the next Jordan Belfort, and they would say, well, I've brought in 10 grand this month. And I don't think they realize how much it costs a business for them to be sat there. And then they think they should be rewarded for any little thing that they do.
Other than wrong hires, the second biggest cost to any business is the hidden cost of sale.
Yeah.
And most companies don't even know that because they don't even want to look at it because they know that if they see it, how much it's costing them to bring in every pound.
Yeah.
And this is when I ask a company, so what's your close rate? I always get this, Benjamin, we're great when we're in front of people. We just can't get in front of people. So what's your close rate when you run in front of people? It's about 80%. Really? Yeah. Is it really 80%? And then you go through a process and they realize that's whittled down to about 2 to 3.
Yeah.
So how much do those 7 cycles cost you?
Yeah.
And
the true cost.
And then so you're telling me that you're not making really any money. On paper you are, but in reality. And then they see it. And then they get all angry and say, maybe I got the figures wrong. Well, they're your figures, Sarah.
I work for a company, and if the guy's listening, he'll know who I'm on about.
Yeah.
And really good guy. It was a startup, and I learned so much about sales there. So I was just one of their telesales guys, and he basically had a spreadsheet where every salesperson could see the true cost of himself. Yeah. And on the spreadsheet, visible to everybody in the company, was your basic wage, how much of the electric bill per month was that you had to pay.
Yeah.
Tea bags, water, heating, lighting, computer costs, and then that was your cost. And then he did not pay commission until all that,
until you covered your costs.
Whereas every other business I'd worked in, they say, right, your basic's 14 grand or 16 grand or 18 grand, and then you get paid £50 a sale on this, that, and the other. And it was the first time I had a real concept of, oh shit, there's 6 salespeople, but we've got 3 admin girls, or 3 admin staff. We need to split their costs. So we had to absorb that cost. So we'd hire a new admin person. My cost just gone up 600 quid a month. So now I wouldn't get paid on another 600 quid. And it was the first time.
It's brilliant.
The first time I would say, I stopped drinking Robinsons.
Yeah.
Because it was costing me £10 a month in fucking orange juice.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll take that off my cost because I want to earn a commission on that £10.
Yeah.
And so I tried to introduce that in my own company. And you get lads coming in there saying, well, our sales have gone up 10 grand this month. And I said, well, if you include your basic, your commission, your national insurance, your heat and electric, your laptop, your phone, your admin support, your associated costs, it's probably cost us 2 grand for you to be to sit there. And but then he'd be then saying, but I deserve more money because I brought in 5 grand. It's like, you've not brought in any money, dick. You literally are a massive cost. Unless you make 100 grand, you're not making anything for the business. But I don't think salespeople realize that.
No, they don't. And again, it comes down to poor management because most managers don't know this. They don't point this out. I mean, how many companies have you been in that break down, this is what you cost?
That's the only one. Yeah. That is the only one. And I've worked in a lot of companies and been sacked from quite a few.
Yeah, why don't they do it? I mean, you want a salesman to bring in at least 3 times their salary, at least 3 times, to get any return on them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, most salespeople discount. The number of companies that will deny how much they discount until you break it down. Now, you can only discount profit.
Yeah.
You can't discount costs.
Yeah.
So, in fact, they're stealing from every time they discount, they're stealing out of your pockets there.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Well, it's a tough business. Then get out of it because someone else is selling higher than you.
Yeah, of course.
Because they always say, well, we're not top, we're in the middle. So that means someone's better than you. Yeah. No, I agree. The cost of salespeople is high and most companies don't know. It's a painful process to go through.
Yeah.
And I know how much I cost, and I'm 100% commission. I have been for 5 years. I haven't been paid. If I don't kill, I don't eat.
That's one of the biggest tips I have in startup businesses is if you don't have investors, you're more hungry and you go out and work harder. And we used to say that we eat what we kill. So we have to fucking sell this week. If we don't sell this week, no one's getting paid.
No.
And you're far more motivated to be successful in that environment.
Starvation is an incredible motivator.
Exactly.
And if you feed a hunter a burger every time they come back without having killed anything, they get fat and lazy and stupid.
That.
And they don't get better. So why would you learn how to throw your spear better? Why would you learn how to walk more silently? Yeah. I don't need to. I'm going to get fed. So I'm quite blunt on that. I mean, I know most people won't go to a zero basic, but I didn't. To learn my trade, I quit my job and lived on my credit cards.
I think that's the best way for you to learn. And I think if you truly back your ability in sales, you would negotiate going commission only and you would negotiate a better deal of the profit, in my mind.
Without doubt.
I say a weak salesperson hides behind basic. I need a bigger basic and bigger basic. Yeah. One of the things that I've always been endorsed is paying more and expecting more. So I used to sometimes say to the salespeople, you pick your salary. Yeah. You tell me how much you want to earn, and then I will map your commission and your targets to that. And you'd be amazed how many would bottle it.
Yeah.
So most would say, oh, do you know what? I'll actually agree to a lower basic and a lower target.
Yeah.
Or some would say, I want 60 grand.
Yeah.
Cool. I can now pay you a 60 grand basic, but for that, I would expect you to make 600 grand.
Yeah.
So can you make 600 grand?
I mean, when I wrote about this on LinkedIn, I mean, according to LinkedIn's social justice warriors, the average salesperson in the UK is some guy in his mid-30s. He's got 3 kids. They're starving. They're living on the breadline. And the idea of him having to, take a cut to earn more or to invest in himself is just wrong. So if you're in your mid-30s, your kids are starving, and you need to quit.
Yeah.
You are in the wrong trade,
Yeah.
Or invest in yourself and get good at it. So I'm not in for rescuing people. I'm there to help people, support them.
Yeah.
But learned helplessness doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
And that's a problem with most salespeople and managers. They just encourage bad behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be done. But I'm you and I and a few, we're an exception to the rule, and people are going to hate this, and we're going to be considered bastards and cruel and horrible. But
I bet you get
that's
that a
fine.
lot. I bet you get that a lot on
You
LinkedIn.
get that a lot. I get that
Benjamin?
all the time, but I don't care, because I know 80% of salespeople will always be in that zone. That's fine. I'm looking for the 2 that say, you know what, I want to be a little bit better.
So when they do fail, it's never their fault either.
Oh no, it's somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
It's always somebody else's fault. I always ask, whenever someone contacts me, one of the first questions I say to them is, okay, quick question. Have your salespeople come to you and ask for training?
Yeah.
And they'll say, no. I go, well, we have a problem then, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because why are you well, I know they could do better. I know you know they could. Do they know they could?
Yeah.
Because if they haven't recognized that, you're going to be spending good money on bad. So you need to find out. And it's amazing how many don't come back after that conversation.
Yeah.
Because
I had a sales job in, it was working for, I won't say the company name, but it was in retention for a mobile phone firm. And I went to work there, and we had sort of like classroom training for 2 weeks. Then it was like you can kind of shadow people on the phones.
Yeah.
And we were allowed to sit with anyone we wanted in the call center. Yeah. So I sat with my friend, because he was my mate, for like 1 day, and he was one of the lowest paid people on the team. So I fucked him off and then asked if I could sit with the top performers. Went and sat with the top performers, sat with them for 2 weeks. Then we went onto the sales floor. Within 2-3 weeks, I was the 3rd top salesperson in the company.
Yeah.
And 4 weeks later, I was sacked from the company for fraud, because the process they showed me to get the big numbers wasn't actually the proper process. And they ended up culling 24 of us in total, and I was one of the unlucky ones to get the chop. Hey, but I earned a lot of money in that time. Yeah. More than my mate probably earned in the last 6 months. So it was good while it lasted. But I was going to go back to that never my fault mentality. And salespeople, they always act like the victim. Yeah. Everything conspires against them. That's why they've not been successful.
It's called the drama triangle.
So what do you actually think is the most common excuse for poor performance? Excuse for it, not necessarily the real reason. What do you think is the most common excuse by salespeople?
The most commonly... Oh, that's a good question, actually. What's the most common...
I'm like Paxman with my questions.
That is a very good question. What is... I've never polled it. I know... The thing that always comes up whenever you ask a salesman, can you give me an objection or a question or something that stumps you? It's always price. Price. Yeah. And I think you'll find most sales team, sales, I wrote about this recently, is the only profession where excuses roll uphill. Yeah. So the sales manager says to the sales guys, hey guys, your numbers are down, what's happening? And they go, oh, well, we keep losing on price. Our competitors are just undercutting us. Sales manager hates that, but he takes it, sticks it in his back. Sales director says, your figures are down. Why? You need to up your game. Well, we're being hammered on price. They're doing their best.
Yeah.
MD says to sales director, why are sales down? Profits down. What's happening? We really need to have a pricing review.
Yeah.
And MD says, well, you are a highly paid sales director who comes and highly recommends our best. We should review it. But it's never price. It's normally an inability of a salesperson to demonstrate or get the prospect to see value, or they're talking to the wrong people. Yeah. Harrods don't leaflet the council estate for a reason.
Yeah. Target the affluent if you want to sell a high-end product.
Yeah, they're not. So
basics.
You're either talking to the wrong people or you got guys in front of prospects that can't get across value. Yeah. But nobody, and this is what I don't understand, everyone knows the expression, you get what you pay for, except salespeople.
Yeah, of course.
They're the only people that don't seem to get that. Yeah. So.
But also as well with salespeople, you can see them on LinkedIn. They change jobs every sort of 3-6 months, and you know that they've had a pay rise to move to the next job, but they must be shit at sales, otherwise they'd be earning that much money. It's like what they do in my mind, and I've actually interviewed many salespeople. they multiply their best month they've ever had by 12 and then act like that's their actual annual salary when you didn't hit target for 3 months after the 1 month you
they're often carried by other people. So when I help companies recruit salespeople, you know, one of the questions I asked them is, talk me through the last 5 sales you lost, and what was it you specifically did that caused that, and as a result of that, how have you changed? And they look at you like a guppy fish. Next, you see, if you have no cognitive ability, if you're unable to see where you went wrong, you know, I don't want to work with you. And
it's the sales managers you're speaking to when you're saying this.
This is no salespeople if you're going to recruiting. You know, because if someone said to me, Benjamin, talk me through your last telephone prospecting call, I could talk you through it backwards, sideways, anyway, because I follow the same structure. Most salespeople can't do that. And so if you're winging it, as most salespeople are,
if you can't tell how you've made a sale, how can you scale it?
Exactly. Everything's scalability is about process and systems. For some reason, salespeople think it doesn't apply. There's no method to selling. There's no key to selling. It's just winning personality and great product. That's BS. That's what professional visitors say. You will have some luck. Don't get me wrong. People will buy. You know? People will buy from me because they like me or they think I'm novel. I get that. But that's not a process that I can create predictable pipeline from.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what I want.
So do you think then to be a good sales manager, you have to be able to lead by example and be good at sales, jump on the phones at any time, make those calls, or do you think it's a different skill set to be a good sales manager?
I think, now this is a good question. I
told you I'm not messing about here, Benjamin.
No. These are good questions.
Research gone into this.
The problem with most companies is and I'll tell you this, is they normally take their best salesperson to make them a manager. And they lose a good salesperson and a crap manager. There are different skills. I'll be honest, I don't think I'm really a management type of person. Because I think I get frustrated too quickly with people, and I it's funny I'm a trainer and I say that, but it's a bit different when I think a manager needs a manager has 2 functions: hire the right people and get the best out of them. That's all they have to do. But for most people, recruitment's a headache. It's something you do when you have to. I mean, I whenever I work with a company, I say, are you currently marketing or are you advertising for salespeople? It's like, no, we don't need one. No, but 80 to 90% of people that you interview are going to be crap. 1 in 10 is going to be good. You should constantly be interviewing people because one may come along. Hire them. Create a job for them. Well,
if they're good salespeople, they'll pay for the seat anyway, so it's not a cost of the business.
And as you said, most have careers that expand 2 years on average with a company. And the reason is they know they're going to get pushed. It takes about 2 years for people to figure out you're not actually doing anything. And so 6 months before that, about month 18, they're looking for a job anyway. So that's why their careers go like that. But I think you need to have an understanding of sales. I don't think you necessarily need to be a great salesperson. You need to be able to pass on knowledge.
I remember once getting in trouble with my sales manager because in front of the sales floor, he was telling me how I could be making more money. And it was a startup business I was working in. I was the first salesperson in there. So I was the most experienced member of staff and also had achieved the most sales. And in front of the whole sales team went, you get on the fucking phones and show me then because you've never been able to sell your own product. It didn't go down very well.
I think you have to be able to do it. I mean, this is why I do what I do. So, you know, there's that expression, those that do, those that can't teach. And I get that all the time.
I was going to ask you that. So how would you... So we judge salespeople on their numbers.
I do
How
everything.
should I judge you?
I do everything that I teach. And this is the thing. Whenever a company gets me in, I will do it. So I'll show them why I do it. I'll tell them why it works. And then I'll get on the phone and do it. And I will demonstrate and I will prove. And so and this is why I say, if you don't believe, get me into your company. I'll sit at your computer in front of your desk with your data, your stuff, and I'll do it. And if I can do it, then you can do it. And it never fails. And I remember, I'll tell you this, I was working with a group of headhunters and they were doing the usual, this doesn't work, it doesn't apply in our business, it's not the... I said, fine. You pick someone. I'll phone them. You do it. And it's in the boardroom. And I phone this guy, and I just do absolutely everything I say you should do. And I got a meeting with him, and they chose someone deliberately gnarly. They said would hate what I do. The MD of the company looked at me and said, "Well, that's embarrassing, isn't it, guys? He doesn't even know our business." And half an hour later, that very guy got the appointment, phoned the MD of this company, and said, "I've just connected with a guy on LinkedIn who I'm going to meet with, and I notice he knows you. I just want to get a bit of background." And this is live. This is unscripted. You know, people think it's stuff I do is rigged or set up. It's not. You ask my clients. It's all done live. And the guy, and he said, really? He goes, what was his name? He said it was, Benjamin Dennehy. And he goes, how did you find the call? Because I thought it was really good. Probably one of the most original and to the point calls I've ever had. And he goes, and he said something that made me want to talk to him. He told me to hang up.
that whole thing about saying no.
Yeah, well, by pricking the rebellious kid, it forces them to, no, I'm not going to hang up. Bull breakers hate to be told what to do. So tell them, hang up. No, it's not a cold call. So that's how people measure me. And I say, you can talk to any of my clients and they'll say, no, he does everything he says that he should do. So I don't care when people say, prove it. I've proven it time and time again. My clients keep paying me and they keep getting me back in and they keep referring me. And yeah, that's it. And I made that video. People think that was set up. It doesn't matter how many times I do this.
I noticed that was one of the criticisms I saw when I put out the questions for LinkedIn. Would he do a live call? But I think some people want you to fail, don't they? And
Of course
it's like,
they do.
It doesn't work. But I don't
Everyone
think people
wants me to
realise
fail.
you can't sell a product to every single person you speak to. So not necessarily a no doesn't necessarily mean a fail. Like what is seen as a win on a certain call? I just thought it was a bit of a strange concept.
Salespeople are lazy. Prospecting comes from looking for gold.
Yeah.
And if you've ever watched people look for gold, it's a lot of work for tiny little bits of gold. You got to sift a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
Prospecting is the same. You need to talk to 10 decision makers probably for 2 to say maybe you got something.
Yeah.
But it requires maybe 100 calls to have those 10 conversations. And then so you get a lazy salesman to say it doesn't work. Well, actually, no, I've got 2 meetings with 2 MDs off the back of 100 calls. Well, that's a poor outcome. No, that's the definition of prospecting, sunshine.
Yeah.
There's a little few nuggets hidden amongst the dross.
If you keep doing that stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, you're lining up those 2 in probably 80 calls in 3 months' time.
If you could get one appointment a day with a decision maker in your market, that's 5 a week, that's 20 a month. You can't even service 20 people a month.
Exactly.
Which means you now have choice, and that is the only reason I'm prospect a lot. Choice. I meet companies I don't want to work with or that I can't sell to. Not because I can have fun. I can practice. I'm constantly practicing what I do. I'm never going to get lazy. So I meet with people I can't sell to.
Yeah.
I'm working with a company I didn't want to work with. And it ended up turned out to be quite good. And they wanted me, and I begged them not to meet me.
Yeah.
I told them all the reasons, and I insisted. And now they're a client. So I meet companies I can't work with to practice, and I prospect and get more meetings in my diary than I can sell to, so I have choice. So if I say to someone the fee's $5,000, and I say that's too much, fine.
Sometimes I used to call it the flinch test, where I used to just, if I didn't want to work with someone, I'd just pluck a number out the air 3-4 times what it should be. And if they said yes to that, if they flinched, cool, I don't want to work with them anyway. But if they said yes to that, it's just like, well, now I can make it work because it's worth the hassle. Yeah. So that was something we used to do.
And that's the key to number one thing about prospecting is designed to give you choice.
Yeah.
Most salespeople do just enough to hit target, which means they're constantly running around like rodents. Yeah.
I had an old sales manager, a Scottish guy, and people that worked at this company will know exactly who I'm on. He was one of the hardest, toughest, most intimidating sales managers ever. He had like 2 modes: ultra pissed off and don't speak to him or don't look at him. That was it. It was like good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Only there was no good cop, right? And forecasting and sales forecasting was one of the scariest things ever. So he used to get us all in the room, stand up in the meeting room every Monday, and he'd say, Mike, how many mobile phones are you going to sell this week? And I'd say, 4. He'd go, where are the 4 coming from? You tell me where you think these 4 are coming from, because you can't make up your forecasting. You have to tell him, prospecting, where you can get them from. And you go, I'm not sure. You don't know where your fucking phones are coming from? Are you just plucking this number out the air? He'd be like, sorry, 1. A fucking idiot could sell 1. You could accidentally sell 1. You're not a proper salesperson. So no matter if you went low or high, he'd bollock you either way. Yeah. So people were petrified. So it was like it was a horrible, horrible kind of
when I work with the salespeople, it's pointing out, I'm not interested in sales targets or figures because that's bullshit. That's all made up crap. What I want to know is what's the minimum you have to do every day in order to hit target?
Hit target, yeah.
What is the minimum? If you do the minimum, you are self-employed. I don't care what you do after that. Yeah. So if you know you need 2 meetings a day to get 10 a week, to get 40 a month, because you've got a 1 in 10 close rate, meaning you only get 4 bits, and you need those 4 every month, then you do the minimum. Yeah. You could get 2 meetings in the first half hour of the day. You can do whatever you like for the rest. I don't care. But if you do that consistently every day, you'll always hit target. So it's what is the minimum? So tell me, what are you going to do today? How many dials do you need to make? How many conversations do you need to have? How many appointments? Get me those. I don't care what you do.
There's 2 things that I learned at that company, which was you get told exactly how much you cost and how much that's. And that was one of the things I learned. But also that as long as a salesperson, you can justify the amount of shit you bring your manager in the business, you can get away with all sorts. So we had lads there that would work 4 days a week because they'd do the minimum in the week. So they'd say, well, this is what I need to do for the week. But if I can do that in 4 days, the boss said, well, don't come in then. Like, you just do what you need to, and it gave you so much power. And that's something I've always thought is a good thing. If you sort of put the onus on them.
Completely agree. A salesperson is self-employed. They generate their own income. But most people
don't realise that, though.
They don't.
Because they want to stay till 5:30, they're watching the clock.
And it's funny because every MD you meet, particularly if they built up the business from the ground.
Yeah.
And it's lonely at the top, as you know. And so when you're having a proper, honest conversation with them, they're quite upset and frustrated. And they constantly say, I just wish they had the hunger that I had when I started. I go, that's why you own the business and they work for you. Because if they had that, they'd be out there doing it on their own.
There's a quote in our office which is, "You've got the same number of hours as the world's most same number of hours in the day as the world's most successful people. What you lack is their drive, work ethic, and talent. That's why they're more successful."
Yeah, I've seen that it's on your wall, isn't it?
So, but I always say to the salespeople, if you're reading this, it's to tell you they're not very good, because if you were good, you wouldn't even be in the sales meeting now. You'd be out there doing your own thing. And it goes down quite well, really.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed in startups and working for other entrepreneurs or with entrepreneurs that I've come across is that most of these people can't sell. They like to do the soft and fluffy stuff like marketing, the click funnels. They'll spend weeks crafting this golden bullet email that they think is going to get all these leads in. But they're too scared to pick up the phone and actually call any of these leads and close any sales.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive blind spot in there. Why do you think people are scared to pick up the phone and make these? And that's when their life depends on it, really.
Right. Well, I teach. We are the product of programming, and this is one of the things I teach my clients. And when they see it, it makes sense. So growing up, you were taught certain things that no one ever told you do not apply as an adult, and you were taught rules to keep you safe as a child.
Well, both ways across the road.
Stuff like that. And one of the rules you were taught is never talk to a stranger.
Yeah.
Now that's a scripted tape that goes around in everybody's head.
Yeah.
It's never told, it stops. So when you become a grown up, there's that don't talk to strangers script going through your head.
Yeah.
You then were taught that it's rude to interrupt. Don't interrupt busy people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you get a job in sales and you're told phone this busy important person, interrupt them, and they're a stranger.
Yeah, so you've been conditioned.
You've got these conditions that are saying don't do it. And this is why grown-ups they could talk to someone at the pub because there's a social setting, but something about the phone, and then they get on the phone and already in their head they've self-sabotaged.
Yeah.
They're going to be rude. I hate receiving prospecting calls, ergo everyone else hates receiving prospecting calls. They hope they don't answer. When they do answer, they're shocked. They're caught off guard. Their nerves kick in.
Yeah.
This person can be a bit rude. Well, what do you want?
Yeah.
That's the critical parent talking to their child. The moment they start answering, a child takes over. If you close your eyes in any sales office and just listen to the phone calls, you'd think you're in a room full of children.
Yeah.
If you just listen to it. Swap the voices for children's voices. There is no grown-ups making calls.
Yeah.
And this is they're phoning an adult.
Yeah.
And they act like a child. And it's breaking that. And it can be done, but you need a process that takes the child out of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I help people do. But again, it's a process. It's not a quick. It's not a technique. It's not a give me $2.99 and I'll fix it for you like that.
But some salespeople, some sales trainers say some simple stuff like, "Oh, just stand up when you call him, so you're above the prospect, and smile before you dial." All that kind of like wishy-washy bullshit.
All of these things help, but it's what's going on in between your ears.
Yeah, of course.
And so when people see my call, when I make that cold call, people say, "Oh yeah, I can copy that." I'm sure you could. But it's what you don't see that actually makes it work.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that whenever the guy asked me a question, I didn't feel I had to answer it.
Yeah.
And I was able to flick it back and got him talking. When he said to me, "So what is it that you do?" That's normally when salespeople begin to vomit.
Yeah.
I just said, "Well, if I told you I help companies fix these problems, what would you say?" He said, "I'd be interested." See, I didn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
But I know I don't have to answer a question because the other thing you were taught to do as a kid is you have to answer a question when asked. I know I don't. I've turned that script off.
Yeah.
So that's why people can't make and that's why entrepreneurs struggle.
Yeah.
They're passionate about what they do, and they think it's like the field of dreams. Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that.
No, 100% doesn't.
Your business is like your baby. It's the most beautiful, special thing in the world to you. To whoever, it's just another fucking baby.
Do you know what I used to say my old business was like a foster child? Because we had it, and the full intention was to get rid of it after 2.5 years anyway.
See, that I like. That's good. That's a nice analogy.
Yeah, so that's why people say, "Oh, it must have been sad to lose your baby." It was like, no, thank fuck for that.
Yeah. I'll steal that.
Yeah. So I'm used to. I've been in sales all this time, but I thought the best conditioning for me was I'm from Warrington. we had a nightclub called Mr. Smith's.
Yeah.
And the amount of no's I would get on a Friday and Saturday night when I was in town after a few beers was unreal. So I was conditioned to hearing maybe 100 to 200 no's a weekend. But now it's like water off a duck's back. So I don't really care if people say no. I just ask them if they want to do something. If they don't want to do it, no. Like, if I didn't ask, they weren't going to do it anyway.
No, exactly. No, there's nothing wrong with no. A qualified no is good. I want to find no as soon as possible. In fact, there are more reasons for people not to work with me than there are. So why don't we figure out the no's first?
Yeah.
If we get past those, there's a good chance we'll get to yes. Salespeople are going for the yes. So when I used to first start prospecting, I had a sheet of paper with 100 squares, and in each square was an N except for a Y at number 100.
Yeah.
And if I got a yes before I got to that 100, I had to start again. So it was to get as many and if you're going for no, the more you try to get someone to say no to you, you started getting more yeses as well. So don't fear no. No is good.
Yeah, well, like you are closer to yes, aren't you? For every no you get. So
it's a game.
But it's also a mindset thing.
It's clearly a mindset. You have to. People say to me, so what makes it? When I pick up the phone, my mindset is very clear. If this person has problems I can fix and they recognize they have them, this could be the best call they take all week, maybe all month. This is not an interruption. This is not a horrible thing to do to him. I actually could help them.
Yeah.
So in a way, they should be grateful I'm taking up my time to call them.
Yeah, that's how I used to think of things. So I always think it's easy to sell something if you honestly believe in it, rather than if you're not convinced yourself. I think the prospect can hear that if you don't really know. But then on the flip side, I think sometimes people hide behind I don't know enough about this solution or product, because everyone's got the same pain points, whether it be time, money. You know, you can still sell a product without knowing much about it.
You've just got to know what you fix and how it manifests itself. That's it. Yeah. It's so if I was a doctor who had the cure for a particular type of cancer, and there are 3 specific symptoms, I'd knock on each door. Do you have this, this, and this? No. Fine. Next door. Do you have this? Yes. Perhaps we should talk.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't need to know anything about their background, their history. Do you have these 3 symptoms? Yes. We should talk probably.
Yeah, it's the best way, I thought. Like research,
simple.
You can spend all day researching. Phone them up, they're not in.
Procrastination.
They're not in, or that they're going to say no. So it's like, well, just call.
Yeah, just call. Pick up the name of the director, phone number. What are the pains we fix? Job done.
So the next thing I've got for you really is when I told people you were coming on, I got inundated with questions.
Yes.
Not all of them were very pleasant, Benjamin, but I will ask you some of them as well, because some of them are quite funny. So
is that
if we're
my
okay?
mum? Has she been with my mum? Has she?
No, I've not heard from her for a couple of weeks.
All right.
So, right. Here we go. LinkedIn questions. So I've got these LinkedIn questions. The first one is from David Taggart, and it was, he is self-employed at freelance self-employed.
Oh, I like that. That's a good way of saying jobless.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
like
ask him whether he will ever have the nuts to do a cold call on camera that's not set up or rigged.
Well, I have, and if I was to say I'm willing to do it again, I'm accepting the premise of his question that it was set up or rigged. Nothing I do is set up or rigged. If you genuinely want to see it, hire me. Or you can talk to my clients, but I'm not going to let someone like that talk to my clients if he's just going to have a go at them. But no, I've done it. Watch the video.
Okay.
It's done.
I have got one from Phil Pearson, and he is head of sales, so it's been quite good. So he's saying, how do you feel the fact that personality sells products? So people buy from people. If he can tell others this for free, and people realizing that you can find this for free, it's only stupid companies that would pay a sales trainer to come in and train their staff. So what's...
he sounds very angry.
No, it gets worse.
Oh, it gets worse. Oh, it must be. He's definitely a salesman then.
So,
he's angry.
As you're full so of shit and believe whatever crap they come out with, what are you going to do next?
After this?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to become a head of sales at a company. I figure that's probably the next best step.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of crap out there. I've never claimed, and this is quite true, you can look at it, I've never claimed to be an expert or a leader in anything. People label me that. I actually say I'm only 5 years into a 25 year career. I'm nowhere near as good as I'm going to be. But what I do know is you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that without a process or a systematic way of behaving, you cannot have predictable success. People don't buy personality helps.
Yeah.
And he's probably thinking of the 2 in 10 that bought from him and said they really liked him.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to say that, because I bet the more they tell them they like it, I bet they get a bigger discount.
I liked something that I've heard you say before about you're not claiming to have original ideas or be like
nothing
reinventing your wheel.
Nothing I teach is original. I put that on all my material. Everything's stolen, borrowed, pirated.
Yeah.
All I've done is I got good at doing it, and apparently I'm a personable, likable guy who people enjoy spending time with, and I've just packaged it.
Well, we'll have a vote on that.
We will have a vote on
Yeah,
that. I get one from, well, I was going to say Mum, but probably not. So.
I've got one here from Keith Swan, who
Keith
is
Swan.
a
nice
broker.
name, Swan. He's a broker.
Broker at Novum Securities, and he said, could you maybe ask him how people manage to sell before social media, motivational courses, and Tony Robbins type seminars? It's a good question, really. So
they knocked on doors and picked up the phone.
Yeah.
That was it.
I think
They
it's more of
knocked
a
on
go
doors and
at
picked up
that
the
kind of
phone.
mentality, that whole we can sell you a secret shortcut to sales, come to my 10
There
grand
was no
course.
shortcut.
No.
I mean, watch the movie The Founder about McDonald's. Great
Yeah.
film. And that'll give you an idea of, I mean, he was a failed salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked hard and hard. It wasn't until late in life that he got to where he was. So for some people, it takes a while. But no, it's social media, all of that, that's an excuse not to sell.
Yeah. Don't say that to Daniel Disney, who
No,
isn't
yeah.
coming on the
He's
podcast now.
Is he?
He's bottled it.
He's bottled. Why?
Too far to travel. Tell everyone you've flown here today.
I've flown here. It's only £83 return on Flybe. That's
Flybe.
the advert, Flybe, from Southampton. And I know he's in Portsmouth, and I'm in Bournemouth, so it's halfway between the two of us two, so he can make it.
Get your ass down here, Daniel.
Get it, Dan. Yeah.
That's it. I've got, if this sales training, this is from Jeremy Taylor.
Yeah.
If this sales training thing doesn't work out for him, would you consider starting a Foo Fighters tribute band?
Yes, I've been asked that many times. Me and David Grohl are actually in conversation. Twins, apparently.
Twins.
So I'm the ugly one.
No comment. Sean Moore.
Sean Moore.
What are your unconventional? That's a good question. What are your unconventional questions on a call that really get good information out of a conversation?
Well, I actually follow a set patter.
Yeah.
And my calls are designed to move someone from intellect to emotion.
Okay.
So I follow a set structure. And the structure is really quite straightforward. First of all, I get them to give me an example of the problem that we've said they have. The reason I ask for that is because the brain can only pick one of two, the most recent or the most painful.
Okay.
So then it gets them talking. And then I slowly move them down. So I ask, well, how long has it been going on? What have you done to try and fix it? I guess that worked, which they have to say no to because they wouldn't be talking to me.
Got the same problem.
I then say, well, what's the impact been on your business, or how much do you think it's cost you? They'll either say they don't know or give a figure. I'll then ask them, well, how does that make you? This is the question that most salespeople don't ask. And this would be it. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Because people buy emotionally and justify intellectually. If you get a human being who says, well, I don't really care, well, why are we talking? If they say, yeah, it does piss me off, or it upsets, or it annoys me, now I've gone from intellect to emotion.
Yeah.
And once I've got them to admit that it hurts them or somewhere, I'll then say, no, fair enough. Look, last question then. Have you given up trying to fix this? At this point, most.
But
in
either
fact,
way, they can't really say yes because then it looks like,
they say, well, no. And then my
of
next
course.
question is I don't beg or plead. I just simply say, okay, the things that salespeople normally do that screws up at this point is that they jump on their prospect. I can fix that. Never ever say you can fix anything. What you do is you say, I'll be honest, I don't know if I can fix this for you. Because that's true.
Yeah.
And they know that. Other than death and tax, nothing is certain. So when I say I don't know I can fix, I said, but I have helped people like you in similar circumstances.
Yeah.
Let's pretend I could fix it for you. Is there any reason you wouldn't invite me in? And again, they all say, well, no. Fine. Have you got your diary there? That's it. So the best question a salesperson can ask is, how does this make you feel? But it's knowing when and how.
Yeah. It's not
to
the questions,
do that.
it's when the right time to ask it.
And good salesmen are well, how do I say it? Selling is a West End show played by a psychiatrist. You got to be an actor, and you got to understand human communication. You marry those two together, and you'll be fine. But yeah, it's knowing how and when to ask a question is the key.
When I was selling the product I used to sell, obviously it was our product, so I knew it inside out, and I knew that if I said certain things, they could only come back with certain responses. So it was just a game. It was, when am I going to drop this question? When am I going to put that question in? And it's like, you could almost, they thought they were controlling a conversation, but really you were controlling that conversation.
I know where I need to move them, but they have to
Yeah.
freely move there. And if they're not willing to move from intellect to emotion, I know that we're not going to have a conversation.
Well, if you push them too soon, that's where they will say no, and they'll think that you're
And
too
this is where
pushing.
salespeople screw up. They just don't know. And to be good, like I said, you've got to be an actor. It's like comedy timing. We all know that guy that can't tell a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, it's painful. Yeah?
I work with a few of them.
Yeah.
You, Ian. So I've got, and this might be my favourite question I've ever had. And this is from Jamie McHugh Smith. He says, how does it feel to reach expert level of bellendness?
Now, I had to look up what a bellend was.
It's the helmet.
Yeah.
You might call it a helmet in New Zealand.
How's it be reaching the top of being a knob? Well,
Yeah.
I'm actually honoured that I may have even got that
Well,
far.
I would say it's better than being the sort of a mediocre bellend. If at least you're the best in your field.
I
it's
am.
better
I'm
than,
top knob.
imagine the guy that's behind you.
Yeah. He
Second.
probably hyphenates his name or something like that.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
So, like all good salesmen, which is what I am, because I
He is.
tell you I am.
True.
I'm going to end this with an assumptive close. So, unless you've got any more questions, we are done.
I have no questions, except one little tip for all the sales folk out there. Don't let the bastards grind you down.
Yeah.